The tongue has lots of little tiny sensors on it, and we use that for having a really delightful experience. It gives us a sense of pleasure, a sense of delight. Here's a question. If I taste something and it tastes really good to me, is that going to give me pleasure or satisfaction? Is my taste buds, are they good at telling me what to eat? Good morning, guys. Good morning, boys and girls. A question for anybody this morning. My taste buds, can I trust them? If my taste buds say it's yummy, does that mean it's yummy? If the taste buds say, I think I'll have some of that, that'll be good, is it really good? Okay. Some people say that maybe over millions of years we developed and evolved and that kind of thing. I don't believe that. I think God made us. But if we pretend that the other way is right for a minute, our body supposedly takes what it needs. You know, when a mum's pregnant and she has a craving for a certain kind of food, maybe the baby has a special need for a special nutrient. Maybe there's a bit of need for a bit more salt or something like that. Maybe a bit more protein, a bit more this, a bit more that. Maybe some people say, maybe the taste buds are telling us what our body needs to stay strong and healthy. But unfortunately, as we're going to find out this morning, maybe you already know, sometimes our tongue can trick us. Sometimes if we have certain kind of things that touch our tongue says, ooh, that's nice. But really, when it goes into our tummy feels pretty yuck. Have you ever had a whole bunch of yummy foods, and then after half an hour you feel terrible in your tummy? You feel like throwing up, you feel like lying down. Is it just me that had that? When I was about 14 years old, we were on holidays, and I was at a special place where you could eat as much as you want of whatever you wanted. And guess what I picked? I picked ice cream with chocolate topping. And guess how many helpings I had? I can't remember. I think it was 4 or 5 bowls. And I felt great while it was on the tongue. But after a little while, I went to my mum and said, Mum, I'm feeling terrible. I feel sick. I wanted to throw up. Because I had what I thought was a very delightful, that was a very special meal while I was eating it. I'd never had that much ice cream before, or since, at the same time. Our taste buds can trick us. They can tell us to go and eat things, even though our body doesn't want it. Our tongue says yes, but our tummy says no. Remember the story of Stephen this morning. Stephen didn't like ice cream, but he does now. Do our taste buds change with practice? Do our taste buds like different things? Just think about yourself for a minute now. Can you think of anything now that you like that you didn't like before? Or something that you didn't like before that you like now? Has that, anyone else had that experience too? Our taste buds change, don't they? Very good. Here's a picture of somebody having a donut. Now that donut has some chocolate on top of it. Here's a question for you, and here's a doggy, by the way, who's... You think the doggy's hungry? What do you think? Is that a hungry-looking dog? He's saying, I'm not very hungry. I reckon he's hungry. What's easier, do you think? Is it easier to eat food that I think is tasty, or is it easier to sit there and look at food? What's easier? To look at food that I think is... There's a nice... My favourite food's right there. Is it easier to eat that yummy food, or is it easier to just sit there and look at it? What's easier, do you think? Eat it, Hannah says. Oh, Dione says. All right. When I look at that food, what's my taste buds telling me? What's my appetite telling me to do to that dish or that plate or that bowl over there? It's saying, eat it. Eat me. That's what it's saying, right? When I was a bit younger, I used to love these guys as well. Here's the trick. If I have to choose between that one and that one, which one am I going to pick? Which one am I going to pick? Betty says the Mars bar. You share my desires, yes. What are my preferences telling me to pick? If I could choose either one, no one was watching, you guys weren't watching, you know, it's just Nathan now on the table, what would I pick?
The other thing is baked potatoes, isn't it?
Yes, baked potatoes is the other one. When I see food, why do I eat it? I'm hungry, okay? So if I eat food, what am I hoping to accomplish after eating the food? I want to be satisfied. I don't want to be hungry anymore, right? If I ate food all day and never stopped being hungry, would that be a nice feeling? I'd get frustrated, wouldn't I? It's like my mouth is sore from chewing food. I've been eating for the last 3 weeks and I'm still hungry. That'd get really frustrating, wouldn't it? I want to eat. I want to get satisfaction from my eating. This is a very interesting study now, mums and dads and people that go to school. They've done some study on food that makes us feel satisfied. This is a satiation scale. That means they got a whole bunch of different food, and all of the food had the same amount of calories, 200 calories per serving, and they asked lots of people to have this food and then figure out, after eating this food, do they still feel hungry or were they happy? They were satisfied. They felt full. Now, if you want to eat food because you're hungry, you want to get full, right? You want to get fed up in a nice way. You want to get satisfied. Which food on that chart there has the highest level of satisfaction? It's the strongest for destroying the hunger pains when you're finished eating it there. What's the highest one? It's potatoes. And oranges was up there, is predicted to be high as well. Look at all the food there that's high and all the food there that's low. What do you notice? What are some low ones there? Chips, cookies, Mars bars, donuts, cake. They're at the bottom there, right? And what are the ones up high? Whole wheat bread, potatoes. So back to that question again. Back to that picture of that, if I can get to it, the Mars bar and the potatoes. According to science, which one feeds me up? Which one gives me a sense of satisfaction? Potato. If I have a chocolate bar, in 10 minutes' time I have another one because I'm still hungry, right? If I have a potato, I'm good to go until lunchtime. So according to science, I have potatoes. What do the taste buds say they prefer to have? What do the taste buds say? If I had no worry about being hungry, I just want to have something in my taste. The chocolate. Why not? So the taste buds are not a good, according to science now, taste buds are not a good indicator of what will satisfy my hunger. Does that make sense? Taste buds are not a good measurement of what I need. Okay. Now here's an embarrassing question for Christians. Some things we do in life is very boring. Some things we do in life is really fun. What is it that controls our Christian taste buds? What makes something yummy and desirable? I want to have that. Or that's kind of boring. I haven't got time for that today. Sorry, I'll try that again next time, God. I'm kind of busy today. What is it about our spiritual taste buds that throw us off track? That's the question today. All right, let's take a few more pictures here. That's kind of hard to see, that picture. That's supposed to be a movie theatre. I have to confess, and I'm embarrassed to admit, that when I was younger, I used to really enjoy this form of entertainment. When I was brand new in university, my friend said, "Hey, let's go watch some movies together." And we went one day on a Sunday morning. We did the whole day. We did what's called a movie marathon from about 9 in the morning till about 6 in the evening. Do you think I had a hard time paying attention to the movies? Was I bored all day long watching movies? I was not bored. Everything was exciting. I watched the Star Wars trilogy, 1, 2, and 3, all in sequence. How about if someone said, I want you to go and visit somebody and spend the whole day making somebody else feel special. All day, from 9 in the morning till 6 at night, you can't stop. Would I find that easy or hard, do you think? I could do it for an hour or two. I'm a good guy, right? I'm a Christian person. I go to church. I go see Grandma for half an hour now. Hey, good to see you, Grandma. See you later. I've got to go now. Bye-bye. How come it's easier to sit down and watch a movie, or 3 movies straight, for, 9 hours? But I'd have a hard time spending more than an hour with Grandma. What's happening to my taste buds here? Why do my taste buds say movies are easy, going to see somebody is hard? What's going on there, do you think? Is that embarrassing? I'm speaking to myself.
You've got to think.
Okay. If you have your Bibles with you, let's have a look at Proverbs chapter 14, verse 12. And there's a lovely way that it comes out in the King James Version. It says, "There is a way which seemeth right unto a man." It seemeth. It seems to be. It looks like it's the right way to go. But what does the Bible say about the way that looks like it's the right way to go? It seems right to a man. That means also to women and children. It's for mankind, all of us humans. It's not just for the male species. Sorry, ladies. There is a way which seems right to a man, but where does it end up? Where does it take us? Where does it end up? If I spent all my life eating nothing but chocolate, nothing else, just chocolate, morning, noon, night,
It's a very short life.
it seems right to the taste buds, doesn't it? But what's wrong with my body, or what's wrong with my taste bud body relationship? The taste buds don't know what the body needs. Okay, so here's some embarrassing pictures now. I'm sorry to embarrass you this morning, but I'm embarrassing myself too, because I've got all the fingers pointing back at me. I don't know if you recognise that box. Hopefully you can't. That's a PlayStation 4. It's just come out. When I was growing up, I got addicted to computer games. I had no difficulty spending hours and hours in front of the computer screen. My parents would say, "Probably that's enough for one day now." "Oh, Mum, can I have for just 5 more minutes? I'm just in the middle of the exciting part." I could spend hours and hours and hours doing that. But here's a question. If I spent hours and hours on the computer games, how easy is it for me to spend hours and hours in the Bible? Why is it the computer games are so easy to play and the Bible is so hard to read? Why is that? I know this is uncomfortable. I know you're squirming. I'm squirming too, because I'm revealing myself. I'm being vulnerable with you this morning. I'm telling you all of my problems. Why is it that I find computer games so much easier than the Bible? What are my taste buds telling me? What do my spiritual taste buds tell me about PlayStation, or about Nintendo when I was growing up, or about the whatever it is, the latest release game that's coming out? What do my taste buds tell me about those things?
It's entertaining.
It is. Samson said to his mummy and daddy, "Get her for me. She pleaseth me well. I like her. It makes me feel good. It's yummy to my taste buds." But I need to share with you my personal experience with computer games. When I was heaviest involved in this kind of entertainment, I could not read this Bible and find pleasure out of it. The Bible seems boring. Why would I spend half an hour reading some verses in the Bible when I can spend half an hour shooting stuff up on the computer screen? The two are not compatible. I cannot go to the computer screen and then go to the Bible and think it's yummy. I can't have a chocolate bar and then have a potato and hope it tastes all right, because the taste buds have been ruined by the chocolate. Once the taste buds are ruined by my computer game, how can I go back to the Bible and find any pleasure? I've been miscalibrated by the chocolate. I've been miscalibrated by the Nintendo. How about if I go with my mates and go party with them? There have been times in my life where I've associated myself with people who completely disrespect God. They have open disrespect for God and his way of doing things. And so I then spend time with them, and then I spend time myself in quiet devotion. And from my personal experience, if I've been with my mates who are so completely antagonistic, they're angry towards God, and then I try and focus on God quietly myself, it can be very hard. I'm not saying we shouldn't associate with people that are different to us. We can, but I'm just saying if all of our entertainment, if all of our pleasure, if all of our fulfillment comes from spending time with the people on the, well, let's change on to the next one now, the people that are partying on the left there, if all my pleasure comes from here and then I go to the quiet space, I'm going to have difficulty, aren't I? How about if I spend all day watching TV, or even half the day watching TV? And I'm once again pointing the fingers at myself. I have had trouble with this in the past. I have spent an inappropriate amount of time on the TV. Even if it's possible to find a good program on the TV, and I challenge you these days to even do that. It's very hard to find anything good on TV, but pretend for a minute that there was something good on TV. Imagine if we do that, and then we go out into God's textbook, if I can get the next one there, the textbook of nature. It's very hard for me to enjoy God's creation, God's messages, God's work. The Psalms 19 says, "The heavens declare the glory of God. The expanse declares the work of his hands. Day to day it pours forth speech. Night to night we look at the stars. It reveals to us God's knowledge." But we don't see that if we're in the living room all day long. We're too busy looking at the computer screen or the TV screen. We don't have any hunger for the revelation of God because we're too busy focusing on ourselves, on our pleasure. Our tongue says, that part's yummy, this part is no longer appropriate or yummy for me. I'm embarrassed to admit that when I was in school, I sometimes found myself cheating. It's easy to do this. The easy option says, oh, the answers are right there. That student is a very bright student. That person has the answers. Why would I spend all of my time studying on the right when I can find the answer on the left? What happens to my taste buds if I cheat all the time? What happens to my knowledge appetite? What happens to my knowledge growth if all of my answers come from looking over the shoulder of somebody else? It's stunted, isn't it? I'm only as bright, I'm only as brainy as the person next to me. I can never get brighter than he or she because all I can do is copy their answers. Can you see a pattern this morning? Can you see a pattern that when we put our taste buds first, our body misses out? If we just have chocolate, unfortunately, embarrassing things happen. I'm going to just skip through some slides here and go to some study I did a few months ago now actually. Has anybody ever been to a gym to lift weights? Has anybody got that physique? Yes, thank you so much, my brother. Is it not Maflisi? Good to see you. Welcome. I don't have any evidence of having ever gone to a gym. I know you'd probably laugh if I said I had, but I have been to a gym. I haven't done very much, as you can see. What is the atmosphere in the gym to help us encourage ourselves to lift more weights? What's the audio incentive to pump weights in a gym? Have you noticed? Do you know? Maybe you don't know. In a gym, we usually have very loud music. And the music is there to motivate us. I don't know if you watch the Olympics, a lot of the athletes, swimmers and the athletes on the track and field, they've got the headphones on before they compete for their event. Why do you think they have headphones on for? What are they trying to do? They're trying to get themselves mentally prepared for victory, to try and do the best they can in the swimming pool or on the track. The weightlifters, they're all getting psyched up, I'm going to do this. The people throwing the shot put or the discus or the javelin, Some of them, you notice, they're psyching themselves up. They're getting ready. The New Zealand All Blacks, you've probably seen them 1,000 times. They have this ritual of psyching themselves up so that they can hopefully be more competitive on the field. Interestingly enough, we naturally gravitate to music that we think will rev ourselves up, that will motivate us. And here's a research paper, the Journal of Strength and Conditioning Research, July 2012. They studied people lifting weights, and they had two groups of people. One group that was just regular lifting weights with no music, and another group that was lifting weights with really powerful boom-bitty boom-boom music. And guess who could lift the heavier weights? No. That's the story. Everybody thought the music makes you stronger, but that music doesn't. It didn't make them. That was the interesting part. The taste buds said, yes, give me that boom-bitty boom-boom music, that'll make me strong, and the results were no correlation. In my research paper, I had another study. They had students that were doing some mathematics and some memory recall testing. And there was two groups of students. One group was told no music, and they complained. They did sort of average, so it wasn't that good. The second group, they asked the students, bring your favourite music to class and listen to it while doing your mathematics problems. Guess what the students said? What did the students think after their mathematics class with the music of their personal preference? It was their favourite music. Did they feel good after the mathematics class? They said, yes, that was good. They did, yes. The music made them feel good, but what happened to their performance? It went down. It went noticeably down. They did another experiment. This time, rather than using the students' favourite music, they got music that was not the students' favourite. They got music that was specifically designed to enhance memory function, even though the students didn't like the music. And guess what? The students didn't like that music, and they performed a lot better. The interesting thing about this is that our taste buds tell us what we think we want, but they don't actually give us better performance. It is other things that give us better performance, usually opposite to what the taste buds say. It's again and again for food, for what we see, for our studies, for our music, what we watch, what we do. Our taste buds are usually calibrated opposite to what our body needs. As a Christian now, let me ask you, why would that be? As a Christian, why are our taste buds exactly opposite to what we need? There should be an easy answer for this one. We Christians should know. Why is it that our taste buds are not matched up with our body's needs? Where do our body needs come from? Who made us? Who designed us? God. Who knows what's best for us? Who decides what we like to eat? Who gives us our taste? Who gives us our desires and our pleasures of, I get her for me, she pleases me? Well, where does that come from? Uh-oh. It comes from our sinful nature. So remember, Paul is talking about, we've got the spiritual nature and the carnal nature, or the nature of the flesh. Those two are competing in our bodies, and our taste buds tell us, this is what I want, but our spiritual body says, no, this is what I need. Here's an interesting comment. This comes from a scientist. We know that our taste buds are messed up, but look at this. The big predictor of whether someone will like something bitter is not their sensitivity to bitterness, according to this Professor Marcia Pelchat, a sensory psychologist at Monell Chemical Sensory Center. It's their exposure to it, it's their motivation, it's their interest, it's culture. What's she saying there? Where do we get our taste buds from? Where do we get our idea of what we want to have or not have, according to this lady? This is not a Christian lady, by the way. She says we get it from practice, from our experience, from our own, she uses the word culture there, from our own background. Please you have a comment, maybe?
If you do something over and over, according to that, I think
Yes, we can train our taste buds. We have successfully trained Stephen to like ice cream, even though he didn't like it naturally to begin with. Most of us get that training very, very young, so we don't even remember being trained to like ice cream. But all of us have had that training at some point, I think. Here's the thing, and this is where it's going to be very interesting for our spiritual growth. When we have food, back to the physical food now, there are things inside the food that can trick us. Here's some science that shows how food can trick our taste buds into making us have things that we don't really want. We're going to talk specifically about, and this is a very quick fat and sugar thing. According to research, fat and sugar gives us a feeling of relaxation. If you feel stressed, one thing you can do is to have food that has fat and sugar. That's why ice cream is so good, because it makes us feel relaxed. In fact, they say that, and they're still studying this, it's not fully understood yet, but it seems to be that when we have fat and sugar, it releases the neurotransmitter serotonin and also dopamine. Now, if I'm stressed, is ice cream the best way to relieve stress? No, it's one way, isn't it? But it isn't the best way. Other thing that sugar and fat does is it increases our hunger perception and requires our stomach to receive more food before being satiated. That means if I see a chocolate bar in front of me, what does my brain tell me? I have to have that, plus I have to have more, plus when I've had more, I still haven't had enough. That's what sugar and that's what sugar and fat does. It's not just telling us to eat in general. It's a special kind of, I'd almost call it a drug, that's telling us to have more than we need. The more fat we have, the less sensitive we are to it. So it's like a drug. Once you have more of it, you have to have more to get the same effect out of it. Conversely, if you have less of this stuff, your body becomes more sensitive to it, and you don't need as much to get the same pleasure. So someone who has chocolate all the time has to have a lot to feel good about it. Someone who has only sometimes a little bit can be a really high pleasure sensation. Now that's science and physical stuff. How about spiritual? Is there any connection here? So as we saw above there, we saw that the ingredients of the food can trick our taste buds, right? They can trick our stomach. And remember that graph we saw before? The food that is less yummy tends to be the food that actually makes us feel more satisfied. It makes us feel less hungry. In the spiritual realm, the same sort of thing happens. This is a comment here, or a quote from the book Patriarchs and Prophets. Let's just have a look at this quote together. See what it says? It says, "It is a law of human mind that by beholding, or by looking at something, what happens? If I eat something, if I do something, it changes how I am, doesn't it? If I spend all my time lifting weights, I'll become a weightlifter. If I don't do any time lifting weights, I'm not going to be a weightlifter, am I? If I spend all my time eating ice cream, I'm going to become a professional ice cream eater. And the result will be obvious. By beholding, we become changed. Man will rise, this is woman too, all of us, man will rise no higher than his or her conceptions of truth, purity and holiness. Why is it that spiritual things are not as attractive to me? What's the problem? It's me, isn't it? If spiritual things are not yummy to me, who's at fault? Me. If the mind is never exalted or lifted above the level of humanity, if it is not uplifted by faith to contemplate infinite wisdom and love, the man or woman or child will be constantly sinking lower and lower. We look at the people in the Old Testament and say, oh, those people were so terrible. They worshipped false gods, they clothed their deities with human attributes, they did all these degrading, terrible, wrong things. But how are we any different? If our taste buds tell us, I want the bad stuff that's not good for me, that won't satisfy me, it won't make me smarter, it won't make me stronger, it won't bring me closer to God, but I want that. Oh, this Christian stuff is boring to me. It's too much hard work. What does that tell everybody? What does it tell me? It tells me that my taste buds are miscalibrated, doesn't it? My taste buds are not working properly. My taste buds are telling me, have the wrong stuff. I've got a problem. Let's just read this passage together. I'd like to invite the men to read with me the blue part and the lady the red part. It's going to be 3 pages. It's going to be 9 verses altogether. This is out of Psalms 115. We'll have the men first in blue. Let's read together the top there. Let's go, men. Not to us, O Lord, not to us, but to your name give glory, because of your loving kindness, because of your truth. Ladies, why should the nations say, where now is their God? Men, but our God is in the heavens. He does whatever he pleases.
Their idols are silver and gold, the work of men's hands. They have mouths, but they cannot speak. They have eyes, but they cannot see. They have ears, but they cannot hear. They have noses, but they cannot smell. They have hands, but they cannot feel. They have feet, but they cannot walk. They cannot make a sound with their throat.
Those who make them will become like them, everyone who trusts in them. O Israel, trust in the Lord. He is their help and their shield. What's being talked about here? This is Psalms 115, 1-9. What's the comparison or the contrast here? There's two groups of people, 2 groups of things that we're talking about in this passage. Just go back. The ladies read the second part there. I heard someone mention the idols. Yes? Why do we tend to go after these things? What is it about our taste buds that make the idols attractive? What do we hope to achieve? We see this yummy food and we put it to our lips. What are we searching for? What are we hoping for? If I chase some girl, or I chase some computer game, or I chase some movie, I chase some cheap entertainment, what am I looking for? What am I hoping for? Yes, pleasure, but I'm hoping for a lasting pleasure, aren't I? I want to have that pleasure, and I want that pleasure to last. That's what we want. But according to the verses there, that was verse 4, 5, 6, 7, what kind of a pleasure do we get when we follow our instinct, when we follow our natural taste buds? If I say, get her for me, she pleases me well, or get him for me, or get this for me, or let me do that, what is the result of pursuing these idols, these things that pretend to give us pleasure? If I have the chocolate bar that looks tasty in the mouth, what happens when it goes to the stomach? What happens here to all of this pleasure I'm chasing after? There's no satisfaction. I cannot be filled up. I cannot be satisfied. I'm always hungry. And I challenge you, if your spiritual walk with God is weak, I challenge you to ask yourself, are you satisfied? Are you having a happy life? Is your life full of great experiences that you just can't contain yourself for joy and happiness? According to the Bible, this is not possible unless God is in there. If God is our central focus, life is full. Jesus says, behold, I came to give them life, and life more abundantly, life to the fullest. Only God can give us that life. Satan's pretending. He's giving us the counterfeit. He's giving us pretend happiness. But it says there, verse 8, those who make them, that means those who make these idols, they will become like their idols. They will lose all sense of life. They will lose purpose. Which brings me to my closing question, an appeal. Are you willing to recalibrate your taste buds? Are you willing to say, God, my taste buds are messed up. My taste buds are not working. David said this. Look what David said. David said, my taste buds are so messed up that I've got no hope. The only way that I can get better is if God changes me. David could see from birth his taste buds were completely messed up. Do you want God to change your taste buds? It takes hard work. It means having potatoes rather than chocolate sometimes. It means praying in Bible study rather than watching TV sometimes. It means spending time helping people rather than going to the movie theatre sometimes. It means what seems to be a giving up of a pleasure. But what about the true satisfaction? What about the fullness in the tummy? What about the part that says, I'm really glad I had that meal. I'm really glad I had that food. I'm really glad that I had that happen in my life. Isaiah 53 says, all of us like sheep have gone astray. We've gone our own way, haven't we? None of us. Look at me. Don't look at me. Don't look at anybody else. All of us, we have issues. All of us have faults. We have addictions. We have things that we hanker after. Even if we don't admit it in public, in private we know. And we all know each other by the taste buds that we exhibit. I see people having different foods. I see myself having different foods. And my taste buds give me away. Are you willing to ask God to change your taste buds today? Are you willing to sacrifice the short-term pleasure for the long-term satisfaction? That's my question. If you are, please stand with me. This is a serious commitment. God, please change my taste buds. I don't want to just go for the cheap short-term pleasure that will leave my tummy feeling horrible and yuck. I want to go for the long-term satisfaction that comes from Jesus Christ. That's what I want. That's what I want. Let's have a prayer together and then we'll sing closing hymn. Thank you very much. Our dear gracious Heavenly Father, we are very embarrassed to look at ourselves. We are very embarrassed to look at our personal taste preferences. It's so easy for us to get lost in personal entertainment, to get lost in pursuing fun things, the pleasure, the senses, the things that make me feel good. And sometimes, Lord, we wonder why when we kneel down, when we pray, we open the Bible, sometimes for some of us, I know for me in the past it's been like this, it seems so boring and dry. It seems like you weren't listening, you weren't there. It seemed like it was unreal. I ask, Lord, that you'd change our taste buds. Some of us have stood up today and said, we want you to put in us a clean heart. I think it was Jeremiah that said, create in me a clean heart, O Lord. Or maybe that was David. I ask, Lord, that you would indeed purify us, cleanse us like you promised us. Give us a recalibration so that our taste buds can match with what it is that you know is best for us. Thank you so much for being patient with us. Thank you for giving us second chances. Thank you for loving us even when we make ourselves sick by our selfish indulgence. Help us to place you first. This is our prayer in Jesus' name. Amen.